Andrew, how are you, mate?
Good. Good to see you again.
It is good to see you, mate. So we're going to have a recap again on Andrew's Drive South build, and we're going to go into the ins and outs of the teardown, and you'll also get to see the actual skeleton of the car. But I'll let Andrew do the talking because it's his baby. He knows it better than me, so we'll jump in, mate.
All right, good. So last time we were here, the car was delivered as tested when it went through the torsion test. So I had the drive line in, the suspension in, most of the body on, and some of the interior in. So as we said last time, that at that weight, 966 kilos. So we've stripped the car back because we've got to get it back to a bare chassis to paint it. So I had a couple of guys who I'm working with. They hadn't seen the car before, and just using my toolbox, so no special tools. We got the car from where you saw it last time to this state, 6 hours, 2 guys.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, so it's made to be pulled apart. So using the hoist, obviously make it good height to work at. Undo the cross member, engine out the bottom, and then it's easy to pull the engine off the cross member, take the suspension off it. The rear end come apart. So when we get to the rear end, we'll talk about a mod we made to make that serviceability a little bit better. Yeah, she'll come apart pretty easily. So I wanted to focus on, now you can see it a bit better, how this ties together. Now, when I built this car, there was a decision point where we said, well, do we build a sheet metal, spot welded together steel body, or do we do something else? Now, when you look at a VF Commodore or any late model car, a sedan, they're up around 1,800 kilos.
Correct.
Now there's a lot of, you look at a late model car, it's got, heated, cooled, electric seats, they're heavy, right? But I would guarantee if you weighed a bare body shell, it would be super heavy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'll explain why that is. So we've got the double skinned radiator support here, and we're going to finish that off. We've got some epoxy lined up to finish that off, make it nice. And we've got a steel beam here, and that runs back into chrome moly tube here, and you can see how that all feeds in. We've got another beam down there, and so that's got a collapsible element in it, in a frontal impact. So that's really good. So
you've tied all that in really nice, Andrew, the way that fits in there.
Yeah, so we've got a steel beam up here. So all this bar work ties into a steel beam running across the car. So this here and all of this ties in. And coming around this side, you can see down the side here, here's your steel beam running into this collapsible section, into another steel beam, running in here into a steel beam. So while that's steel, we hadn't built an aluminium car before, so we needed to make sure it was going to be strong enough. It's got to be safe. And going back to your body shell car, how much stamped steel do you have to replicate that strength?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and that's why modern cars are so heavy.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way they know how to make them. They're sort of committed to that because of their assembly line and press approach. So we didn't have any of that. So we can say, righto, let's do this, make it nice and strong, and it achieved the torsion test by over 50%.
That's bloody brilliant.
So and again, we've got all this bar work here tying up into the roof. So the whole car back into the steel, and a steel beam running across the car there. The whole car's tied together.
Very strong.
Yeah. So
so mate, on this teardown, the fact that you've had it basically together and now you've stripped the car down to the bare bones, if you like. Have you found any, how would we say, little issues that you want to upgrade or change? Yeah,
let's go to the cross member and I'll show you what we did there. So we pulled as I said, just like they built the Tiranas. If you watch a video or photos of the original GM 1977, the engine went in from the bottom.
Correct.
And we've done the same thing here, and you can get to all the bolts, no problem. But what we found when we started looking at this, number one, we've got the hydraulic engine mounts here, as opposed to the sort of the traditional rubber or Nolafane mounts, because LSs vibrate.
They do.
And you need to fix that. There wasn't enough clearance back here for the sun. It was too close.
Very tight, yep.
So we've done a couple of things. One is we've got some shims in here, which we can add to. And secondly, we've recessed this section here.
Nice work.
So it gives a much more clearance for the sun.
I did notice on that first look we had at this car, it was a bit tight.
Yeah.
So you've obviously rectified that problem.
Yep. And you'll see a couple of holes in here. Our steering rack is hydraulic with an electric pump circulating the fluid. We couldn't actually get the hydraulic fitting on there because this was in the way, so we just put a couple of holes in there.
Yeah, common sense, yeah.
Now, because this was manufactured, we've modified this, but when we go to production, this will be different. So we've sort of got a Mark 1, if you like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and then we'll do a production version, which will clean all that up.
Yep.
But you can see in here where the suspension points are. Now there's been, this has got to be steel. There's a lot of weight hanging off of this and it does a lot of work. But pick that up, Darryl, and feel the weight of it.
Wow, that's super light.
Yeah, yeah. So I originally started with a commercial off-the-shelf, front suspension, independent front suspension setup. You break that down, the cross member, which is made out of 5mm steel plate, folded up and welded. I could pick it up, but I couldn't move it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, it weighed an absolute ton, and this is a much, much better solution. You can see the cross bracing and everything, it's all tied together, it's strong. But
that is super strong, mate, the way you've made all that.
That's right. So
very strong.
It is steel.
Yeah.
I think you'd have to over-engineer it to be aluminium.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
sure.
it just wouldn't work.
But cleaned up and powder coated or painted, whichever way we'll go with this, that'll be a good concept because the strength's there and it's not heavy.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm comfortable with that.
And the thing is too, Andrew, being steel, if you want to make a mod to it, it's not a big deal. You can add and chop and change if you like.
Well, I'm hoping that this prototype phase we get over modifying.
Yeah.
We make identify all the issues and make all the changes we need to make, and then in production
it'll flow.
They just rolled out of the sausage machine. So,
but as usual, like anything Mark 1, if you like, it's always the way. There'll be little bits and refinements as you go.
Yeah, but
that's to be expected.
Exactly. Yeah, and down here, obviously, we've got the engine out. I mean, everyone knows what an LS is, but that's the unit there. We've had to change the sump to accommodate all of this, but there's that's an off-the-shelf unit.
Yeah.
There are no changes there. That's around the emissions component. I have to run the GM ECU, and that way I don't have to do an emissions test. So that engine won't be modified. There's questions online, can I have an LSA or 325 kilowatts, 588 newton meters and 1100 kilos. Why do you want more power?
You don't need more.
Yeah,
no.
I don't think so.
No, you don't.
So when you look at a Commodore that's 1800 kilos, you're dragging around 5 people in a trailer.
Exactly.
It's a little bit different.
It's a different concept altogether.
All right.
As you said earlier, mate, what's gone into this car, it's a really good chance now for everyone to get to see the technology or the design of this shell, what's gone into it.
Yeah. So you see, I'm not sure you saw these before, but particularly at the back here, these are that's all cut and folded aluminium, and you can see there's some welds there. But they've got a CAD control cut and folding machine.
Yep.
So they send the CAD file, that'll be one CAD file, and they send that to the machine and it just spits out.
Brilliant.
And then they weld it together. So,
and around the back of it, mate, you can really get to see what's gone into this. Like in here in particular, the structural strength of that is one super strong component.
Yeah, and you can see it ties into the sill beam there. But this here is one CAD file.
Brilliant.
And it's welded, but it spits out of the machine.
And I just noticed that, like the top of it, mate, it's obviously chrome moly. So will that section itself for, how would you say, repairability, if you like, will that come off separately to the actual shell itself?
Yeah. So You can see it's bolted here. It's actually welded at the front. But one of the things I talked about with the supplier last week is I've had conversations with people who say, well, I want a race car.
Yeah.
Can we order the car and deliver it with a race car roll cage in it?
Yeah.
And yeah, that's no problem. So, he already started, okay. And we're talking, and he's already starting to draw it up.
Okay.
Oh, we need to put an X brace in here. We need to, we need to have a couple of braces in here, and we can put a door beam in there.
It's very versatile. That's great. So around the whole thing, like even the back here, the way you've designed all that, the strength of all that.
Yeah, you can really see this in here. We've got a crash structure in the back here.
And the part that I really like about this is the no rust problems. That aluminium, especially like you get into older cars and all these areas, if you like, they all rot.
Yeah. Well, we've all seen the videos, right? They're deconstructing cars back to, and having to put steel bracing in there to hold it together while they're remanufacturing them, essentially. But that was, again, part of the motivation is that, it's such a huge amount of effort when you do a restoration to get the car back to a to a baseline.
Yes, it is.
And the money people were spending, and there'll never be an issue with this car.
No, never. That's the part that, like, as a repairer, you look at that and go, well, that thing's the next 50, 60 years, that's going to be good. Yeah. It's a good thing.
So while I've got the seats out of it, I wanted to just show the floor here so you can really see. You can see the honeycomb where they've put the rivets in. Now, I did explain the rivets last time, but I just wanted to go over it again, that the rivets are locators. Okay, this car is not riveted together, it's glued together. And those rivets are just there to position, like the trans tunnel there and the floor sections. They put the glue on there and the rivets go in and they're clipped together, and leave it for 24 hours and it's done. But that way that it's always assembled correctly. Yeah.
There's no mistakes, mate, with that.
That's right.
And at the end of the day, as far as putting it together, how simple.
Yeah.
It's a giant Meccano set.
Yeah. So again, we're blazing a trail here. It's taken almost a year to get this prototype to this point in terms of the chassis. I asked the question, as you do, how long is it going to take to build the next one? And he said, well, I don't know, we haven't done it yet. I said, well, it's going to be days, weeks or months. And he said, days. Yeah. So,
like the whole thing, it kind of turns, I don't know, the car industry on its head a little bit, the way you've gone about it.
Yeah. So around there, Darryl, we've got some parts and I've just wrapped them up and put them in there. There's some steel parts that have got to be coated. So, we've got fuel tank straps, obviously. There's some front suspension parts there. Yep. That have to be coated. Some steering column brackets. All made out of steel. We'll just put a coat of jam on those and they'll be good to go.
Yep. Nice.
Now, while we're over in the corner here, I laid out the rear suspension. So, in terms of the 6 hours for deconstruction, you can see there's just a bunch of bolts and that just comes off as a unit. Now, that's the way, I've got 20-year history in motor racing, working on open wheelers. That's the way we deal with open wheelers. Yeah. You take on and off, quick. Yeah, you pull the corner off. Yep. You need to replace the wishbone, you can just take the wishbone off. Like if you hit something and bend that just comes off. But if you want to take the whole corner off to work on the car, it just unbolts and it's real quick.
No complications.
Yeah. So we've got this is the diff. So I've got a strange diff center, Ford 9-inch with a S-Wave drag racing diff center. It's 35 spline. Now this is independent, obviously. Now have a feel of that. That's quite heavy. I don't think you're going to bust that.
That's bulletproof.
Yeah, and that goes in here and locates in. There's some bolts in behind here, and that goes in there. And then you've got your axle, and have a feel of that.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
mate, who needs to go to the gym?
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to break that.
You're not.
They're rated at 1,000 horsepower.
Wow! Between that, and that, especially that is a brilliant rear end.
Yeah. So, and again, I wanted to talk through So this is the rear cross member. It doesn't look like a traditional cross member. And when we started, so that goes on there, and, that bolts to the chassis. We couldn't get to that bolt.
Okay.
Which means, so if you wanted to change the diff out, which I don't know you ever break that, but if you wanted to pull the diff out, it meant you had to pull the fuel tank out. So, you know, that might seem like well, you just got to pull the fuel tank out, which was the response when I asked the question. Let's just make it so you can do it simply, just by, you know, a few bolts.
Yeah, sure. Underneath access it.
Yeah. And it doesn't look very pretty because it's been modified, but again, in production, we'll clean that up and it'll be a nice thing.
Just going through those little mods, mate, we spoke about.
Yeah.
Which
just belt and braces.
Yep.
Get all the 1%ers done.
Yep.
So the car's easy because now's the time.
It is, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, when you're in production, it's harder to refit, and that's the part of the issue with the volume manufacturers and why they don't. You know, they've got such an amount of work and you know, their assembly line, all the people and everything. It's too much to change.
Yep.
So now's the time to do it.
Especially on the teardown, you get to physically see and try what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, it comes down to, you know, even on the front suspension, putting the bolts in the right way.
Yep.
So you can get them out.
Yeah.
But when we're in production, I can't be standing here watching people do things. We're going to have an iPad type arrangement, and it'll be step by step.
Yep.
You know, here's a photo of it, how it goes together. Here's the bolt size. Here's the torque setting.
And away you go.
Yeah. And you just
And the best
through.
part about all this is the way you've gone through it now, and these little mods, like we said, that car will just go together, and if you want to pull it apart, fully accessible.
Yeah. So.
And like you said, Andrew, earlier with the race car thing, if you want to pull a corner off, you know, you're in the middle of a race.
Yeah.
You know, you got to whip it off and whip it on. You would be able to do that.
Yeah, and you can just look at that and see. Well, I can because I've had a lot of experience with this, but that's really serviceable.
Absolutely.
And you know, you can. There's three bolts there, and you pull the lower control arm off. You bolt a new one in, and away you go. So you can do that. That's the sort of thing you can do between sessions.
Yeah.
In a race meeting,
right. Yeah,
as opposed to you know, trying to work on a production car where it's not designed to be serviced.
Yeah, true. The thing is with it, mate, all that componentry, like it's top of the line gear.
Yeah. So and again, that's what we tried to do. And you know, I spent 2 years sourcing components, and there's, you know, that rear end kit.
Yeah.
That's unbreakable. I would think.
That's bulletproof. I mean, if you know, if you're going to destroy that, you're going to go to some extreme measures to wreck that.
Yeah. So, you know, Strange, you know, they're the dominant player in drag racing rear end. So
they're well known.
yeah, it's 35 spline.
Yep.
You know, we're not talking about a banjo with 10 spline. You know, poor metallurgy and all of that.
Yeah, no,
And,
that's going to last forever, though.
Yeah.
If you looked after that honestly, the way you've designed that, mate, that will go for years, literally.
Yeah, it's funny. Just a little story. I went and spoke to a couple of guys. The local Tirana club were at one of the local pubs up here, and there was a guy there with a hatchback with an LS in it, and he left a diff standard. Okay. And he said, well, you've got to be pretty gentle to take off, and you know, once it's going, it's all right, but you definitely don't drop the clutch, you know. So anyway, that's a little story for fun, but yeah, you won't have that issue with this thing. And so.
But even down to that, mate, the way you've modded that, you know, to make things accessible.
Yeah.
It's the way to go. And the best part that with all this is the way you've gone about it. You know now what is going to be a problem or not, so you've eliminated all those issues.
Well, like that there is proven stuff because it's out there in the marketplace already.
Yep.
So we don't need to do durability testing on that.
No.
We need to durability test the package, and we'll do that. But the individual components are proven already. So you're sort of 3/4 of the way there, and that's again the reason why you spend a lot of time choosing components. But certainly didn't make those choices with this car. So